Welcome to Plymouth Church's Earth Day service. Today we observe the 50th anniversary of Earth Day, a celebration of creation, and a call to action to move toward right relationship with our more than human kin. The pandemic that we are currently living through has radically shifted our impact on creation. As we have collectively slowed down, smog is clearing, canals are running clear, and wildlife are returning. A friend of mine and pastor, Nichola Torbett, had some questions about what these shifts meant. So she went outside to ask the trees. She asked them, "Would it be better for you if we humans were gone?" And the trees replied, "Oh, honey, only a human could even conceive of such a question. We would never desire or imagine we could benefit from death." And further, dear one, they said, the fact that you're asking this suggests you have a kind of self-hatred that breaks our hearts and is also very dangerous to us. You humans hate yourselves deep down for what you have done, and you will not be able to stop escalating harm until you stop hating yourselves. We love you, the trees said. There is grace available if you are willing to let go.
From Celtic Treasure by J. Philip Newell, this is day 6 in the first chapter of Genesis. On the 6th day, God said, "Let us make humankind in our image." And from the moist earth humanity was born. Spirit and flesh were formed in the likeness of God. Male and female came forth together, and the words of heaven were spoken on earth. Be fruitful and multiply. The earth is yours, and you are the earth's. The seeds, the seas, the creatures, everything that has breath, and every plant that grows. Be strong in my likeness, and guard the unity of life. God saw all that had been created, and it was very good. The relationship of earth and woman and man had begun, and there was evening and morning, the 6th day of creation.
My mother, Frances Craig, grew up in southern Idaho on a farm, splashing in muddy farm ponds, chasing tadpoles, and counting falling stars in the purple night skies. Although she left the farm behind and came to Iowa to be a journalist, her love and reverence for nature never waned. Her thriving flower garden, filled with chirping birds, attested to that. And she passed that love and respect for the natural world on to my sister and to me. And since my own retirement, preserving this wondrous creation has become my calling, to do all that I can to ensure that my precious grandchildren and their children and their children can thrill to the beauty of this earth. My mother wrote frequently about the natural world, and I would like to share a piece that she wrote for the Des Moines Register in 1966. Suppose that spring, this great awakening, came only once in your lifetime. Suppose that just this time you'd feel the wind all sweet with pussy willow pollen, that only once you'd find the hepaticas and the Dutchman's breeches answering the sun through the woodland's leafless trees, that only once you'd see the shedding of tree bark and the dry husk sheltering the winter's buds, and watch the blunt red buds of maples turn to flowerlets. Then wild plum thickets toss their creamy petals on the air, and quince burst into flame. Suppose this were the only time you'd see the rushing freshets filled with melted snow, or hear the creaking song of blackbirds down at the brimming pond, and then watch the little evolution of wriggling tadpoles turn to hopping things. Suppose that just this once you could stand on the edge of the world to watch and listen as the sun comes up, when the stream dances and the bud stirs and the bird sings. And out of it burst, like morning, the cry of human life. Suppose that spring and all new birth could happen only once, and then be glad that it comes on and on with timeless joy, as old as the earth and as new as your heart's awakening.
A reflection on creation care. What does it mean to care for creation? What has it always meant to me before? To acknowledge that I'm a part of this creation, not an isolated creature. I'm made of the same matter as the flowers and the oceans and the bears, and that my wellness is intricately woven with theirs. To recognize that walking is nearly always better than riding, that I'm not simply conserving water, I'm practicing justice. To identify ways to live more sustainably, from my clothing to my food to my cleaning products. To know that climate change isn't just real, it's changing this world at a rapid pace. And to advocate for better, more loving practices isn't a choice, but a necessity. What does it mean to care for creation? What does it mean to me now? Now that I will soon bring something new and beautiful to life on our earth. Now that I'm a co-creator with God. To nurture. I crave for this new and beautiful creature to breathe the air we've been gifted, to know the feeling of mud between her toes, to love the buzzing of the bees, and to know that we're all connected. I need for this person to know that she's the only person exactly like her, but she's not the only person. From the moment of her conception, she's been part of a glorious, complicated humanity, and that her movements and choices have meaning for her and for so many other humans. I want her to know that loving the earth is loving her neighbors. I belong to the world differently now. As I grow this child, I'm no longer a participant in this sacred world. I'm a partner in building and caring for it. I'm creating space for gentleness and nurture. And I wonder if we all belong to each other as living things, the humans, the trees, the bees, my baby. How can I create space to nurture us all? What does it mean to care for creation? What will it mean in this next season of life? I think it's to listen, to know that I don't and can't have all the answers or control, to realize there's so much to be curious about, to see clearly that while I can acknowledge my role and nurture creation well, I'm unlikely to be the first or most impacted when we fail to care well for our world. Will I be listening, teaching my child to listen to those who are? Will I press in, hear their pain over the busy hum of life? Will I center and elevate their voices? I think I must listen and pay attention to the things that keep growing and the things that stop, to who profits from pipelines and plastics, and who suffers, to where the beauty is and where the pain lives, and to who I am in the middle of it all.
Part of celebrating creation is allowing ourselves to fall in love with the sound of the birds singing, the deep pink of the redbud against the blue sky. Another part of celebrating creation is honoring the interconnectedness of us all. What you have done to the least of these, you have done to me. Our relationship to our more than human siblings in creation has shifted during this pandemic. Yes, our slowing down has given wildlife more space to breathe. But we are purchasing more single-use plastic than ever before. Environmental regulations on big companies have been rolled back to allow for vastly increased air and water pollution. Municipalities around the globe have stopped recycling programs. For the most part, it is not the members of Plymouth Church who will feel the effects of these changes first, but our neighbors with less privilege, here in Des Moines and across the globe.
Darkness and light are one. To you, O God, both dark and light are one. Darkness and light are one. To you, O God, both dark and light are one. Darkness and light are one. To you, O God, both dark and light are one. Darkness and light are one. To you, O God, both dark and light are one. Darkness and light are one. To both dark and light are one. Darkness and light are one. To you, O God, both dark and light are one.
When the World Ends, a poem by Kenna Newsom
and Nessa Ruther. When the end
of the world
comes,
where will we be? Probably at home, in a middle-class suburb of Tacoma Park, Maryland, eating our organic dinner bought at our local co-op. My privilege pressing hard through plates and window panes. I won't feel the effects of a crumbling world my parents have worked so hard to preserve.
I live in D.C., where murder rates topple skyscrapers. Looking over your shoulder is a natural reflex, and at the end, melanin is never able to save me because even Mother Nature has begun to discriminate.
She is sinking under toxic waste, landfills, built by men who look like me.
And poor neighborhoods full of people who look like me. Does she even know only some of her children are dying? Black kids raised in so many different kinds of fear, trained to count the days until dirt as dark as melanin will swallow us whole.
I have the good fortune of not fearing the people around me. So I tend to the ground beneath me, saving water and electricity. But I won't look at the deep-rooted damage like she will, like oppressed people.
Everywhere will. People in power dispose of waste where no one important will go looking, where no one important is living, out of sight,
out of mind. Now, knowing where your trash is going is a privilege. Exhale out chemicals someone else will breathe in.
Kettleman City,
California.
Kettleman Hill Hazardous Waste receives a grant to expand their landfill in a city where 90% of the population is of Latino descent. Minorities have always been seen as more trash than treasure, turning towns into dumping grounds because if population is dark, it must be dirty.
When the end of the world
comes. At first, only a few will go with it. My people are always the first to die and the last remembered. But what happens when there are no more Black bodies to burn?
Who will be the next? The earth will swallow before tornadoes turn great cities into dust bowls, and there is no one left to inherit our destruction.
We will both go.
Dust to dust. We both just want a world where children can grow. Our generation is one of unlearning prejudice.
When a second chance
is to stand together.
There are reparations
to be made.
Healing the earth and all people on it.
Seeds to be sown in the ground and in communities.
Too much to do that we can't do alone, that we can't do until we both are equal.
Until we are breathing the same air.
Drinking the same water.
Till we look past our own privilege.
And seeing each other.
This we see all around us in the modern world. Our atmosphere is polluted, our streams are poisoned, our hills are denuded, wildlife is increasingly exterminated, while more and more man becomes an alien on the earth and a fowler of his own nest. The price that is being extracted for this is a deep sense of isolation, of being rootless and a vagabond. Often I have surmised that this condition is more responsible for what seems to be the phenomenal increase in mental and emotional disturbances in modern life than the pressures, economic, social, and political, that abound on every hand. The collective psyche shrieks with the agony that it feels as part of the death cry of a pillaged nature. The words of Howard Thurman in his book, The Search for Common Ground.
Beloved, hear the good news. Love that seeks justice is the counterpoint of structural evil. The magnificent call to love is heard in many tongues, through many faith traditions and other schools of wisdom. From a theological perspective, all of creation is beloved by a love that will not cease and is more powerful than any force on earth or beyond. Although embedded in systemic evil, we humans are nevertheless charged with seeking the widespread good, abundant life for all, through ways of justice-making love. For fulfilling this calling, we are bearers of that divine and indomitable love. Thanks be to God.
Hi, happy Earth Day. My name is Olivia Hicks. I'm a former Matin and currently a student at Western Washington University in Bellingham, Washington. I'm here today to talk about what you can do and what I do on an everyday basis to combat climate change. So on campus, I take public transportation everywhere or ride my bike since I don't have a car. I also compost every day. The university is very unique in the sense that we compost almost everything takeout related, so straws, napkins, paper towels, takeout containers, and utensils. Here in Tacoma, where I'm staying with my mom during quarantine, we recycle and compost every day. I am also an environmental journalism major, so I think it's very important to uplift climate activists' voices and provide them with a platform. So what you can do is you can call and lobby your legislators for comprehensive climate action and reform. You can also donate to local chapters of national organizations that combat climate change or lobby for climate action, such as the Sunrise Movement or Climate Strike Iowa. You can also, if you do not have the financial means to donate, when it is safe to gather in groups after all of this is over, you can and should go protest and strike. Have a good Earth Day.
I want to read a beautiful passage from one of my favorite books. This passage really changed the way that I see creation and the way that I live in the world. This book is Braiding Sweet Grass by Robin Wall Kimmerer. She's a mother and a botanist and a professor and a member of the Citizen Potawatomi Nation. And she writes in the chapter entitled Epiphany in the Beans. Maybe it was the smell of ripe tomatoes, or the oriole singing, or that certain slant of light on a yellow afternoon, and the beans hanging thick around me. It just came to me in a wash of happiness that made me laugh out loud, startling the chickadees who were picking at the sunflowers, raining black and white hulls on the ground. I knew it with a certainty as warm and clear as the September sunshine. The land loves us back. She loves us with beans and tomatoes, with roasting ears and blackberries and bird songs, by a shower of gifts and a heavy rain of lessons. She provides for us and teaches us to provide for ourselves. That's what good mothers do. So she took this lesson to one of her classes, and she writes, I once sat in a graduate writing workshop on relationships to the land. The students all demonstrated a deep respect and affection for nature. They said that nature was the place where they experienced the greatest sense of belonging and well-being. They professed without reservation that they loved the earth. And then I asked them, do you think that the earth loves you back? No one was willing to answer that. It was as if I had brought a two-headed porcupine into the classroom. Unexpected, prickly. They backed away slowly. Here was a room full of writers passionately wallowing in unrequited love of nature. So I made it hypothetical and asked, what do you suppose would happen if people believed this crazy notion that the earth loved them back? The floodgates opened. They all wanted to talk at once. We were suddenly off the deep end, heading for world peace and perfect harmony. One student summed it up. You wouldn't harm what gives you love. Knowing that you love the earth changes you, activates you to defend and protect and celebrate. But when you feel the earth loves you in return, that feeling transforms the relationship from a one-way street into a sacred bond. Amen.
Mother of the earth, Spirit of the sky, holy is your creation, wondrous in our sight. Spirit of the day, Mother of the night, holy is your creation, wondrous in our sight. Mother of all people, Spirit of all life, holy is your creation, wondrous in our sight. Mother of the earth, Spirit of the sky, holy is your creation, wondrous in our sight. Holy is your creation, wondrous in our sight.
Greetings from our greenhouse at the farm where I live with my husband, Patrick Stanley. It's a blessing to be celebrating Earth Day together. We're in a season of great holiness. The Jewish celebration of Passover ended last week. Ramadan begins tomorrow for Muslims. And for Christians, we're in the season of Easter. For many, Earth Day itself is a holy day. Christians, Jews, Muslims, and nearly all faiths share the idea of environmental justice, grounded in common values that the entire world is celebrating today. For Christians, as we celebrate the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus, we're invited to ponder the seamless relationship between the Creator and creation. The Creator came to live among us in the messiness, grittiness, life and death cycles of being embedded in creation itself. For me, Easter is a profound call to hopefulness, not of some distant heaven, but of the beauty, awe, mystery, and gift of being alive right now. Breathing in, drinking of, eating from, sharing in the abundance of being at one with creation. Earth Day reminds me I'm connected to every living thing and every physical reality in the universe. That every part of my being is so much bigger, so much more beautiful than just myself. Earth Day reminds me that if I want to experience the greatness of that beauty, I must do so not by clinging to my own selfish needs, but by opening myself to a deeper, more vulnerable relationship with all of creation. It means recognizing the relationships with insects, plants, animals, bacteria, and viruses that keep me alive. My call to stewardship means partnering with creation so that not only I, but all people may live more abundantly. We celebrate the 50th anniversary of Earth Day in the midst of a pandemic. This is the messiness, grittiness, life and death nature of being part of creation. And the path forward is environmental justice. We must respond with a deep sense of environmental justice, with a deep and profound desire to strengthen our relationships with each other on a global scale. Or this crisis will expand inequity. This crisis will damage our public institutions. This crisis will deepen divisions that drive us apart. We have heard today that pain and suffering magnifies when we are not heeding the call to environmental justice. The season of Easter reminds us that when we embrace a call to abundance, to selflessness, to love, to hope, and to the present moment embodied in a deep relationship with both Creator and all of creation, what's possible is so much bigger and more beautiful than we can even imagine. Whether it's a global pandemic, plastic clogging up cycles of life on land and sea, or global warming with devastating climate change, Earth Day reminds us that together we can overcome these challenges. And by embracing a call to care for creation and to love all 7 billion of our neighbors who share our common home, we won't just overcome the challenges. We will witness the Easter promise of new life. We will participate in the healing of the nations.
A reading from the book of Revelation, chapter 22, verses 1 through 2. Then the angel showed me the river of the water of life, bright as crystal, flowing from the throne of God and of the Lamb through the middle of the street of the city. On either side of the river is the tree of life, with its 12 kinds of fruit, producing its fruit each month, and the leaves of the tree are for the healing of the nations. We pause and remember that the God who created us sustains us and is always with us. In God we live and move and have our being. Let us pray. O God, Creator, Holy Spirit, whose breath gives life to the world and whose voice is heard in the soft breeze, we need your strength and wisdom. Come to us and among us. Come as the wind and cleanse us. We join with your creation and with each other in our prayer of healing for the earth and for all of your creation. We join with the earth and with each other to bring new life to the land, to restore the waters, to refresh the air. We join with the earth and with each other for healing, to renew the forests, to care for the plants, to protect the creatures. We join with the earth and with each other for healing, to celebrate the seas, to rejoice in the sunlight, to sing the song of the stars. We join with the earth and with each other for healing, to recall our destiny, to renew our spirits, to reinvigorate our bodies. We join with the earth and with each other for healing, to create the human community, to promote justice and peace, to remember our children, to heal the sicknesses of the land, the water, the air, and all people. We join with the earth and with each other for healing. O God, we are full of the grace of creation. We are graceful. We are grateful. We rejoice in all life. Amen.
Dear ones, go out and listen to your favorite part of creation. Ask the trees, the new grass, the hard questions you are holding in your heart. And as you do so, we invite you to take a photo or video of yourself listening to creation and share it with our congregation on our Facebook page as part of our Earth Day celebration. And remember this benediction from the trees. There is grace available if you are willing to let go. Go in peace.
May the road rise with you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face, and the rain fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the hollow of her hand. May the road rise with you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face, and the rain fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the hollow